Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into how massive companies, think giants like Nvidia, structure their absolutely huge growth bets without, completely losing their shirts. If you've ever looked at a corporate roadmap and wondered how on earth leadership decides where to allocate billions of dollars, well, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to decode the hidden architecture of corporate growth and see exactly how the world's top businesses measure, manage, and ultimately survive extreme strategic risk.
So, way back in 1957, this economist named Igor Ansoff hit the nail on the head with a pretty timeless truth. Basically, every single growth deck presented in a boardroom is inherently trying to hide risk from you. This idea is the absolute anchor for everything we're unpacking today. It's nearly 70 years old, but it just survives because it just tells the undeniable truth about strategy. The further you step away from your core competencies, your known products, and your known customers, the higher the likelihood of a very, very expensive failure. And this captures the exact tension we're tackling today. How do you actually know if your company's bold new initiative is a carefully calculated expansion or just a one-way ticket to a reckless gamble? We see companies make these bets literally all the time. Some skyrocket to multi-trillion-dollar valuations, right? While others quietly write off billions in losses just a few years later. The difference really isn't just luck. It's whether they truly understand the actual risk they're taking. So here is our agenda for today. First, we'll cover the 4 growth strategies. Second, the adjacency discount secret. Third, deconstructing Nvidia's big bets. Fourth, mapping your own portfolio. And finally, number 5, common matrix mistakes. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the 4 growth strategies. To kick things off, the fundamental Ansoff Matrix basically sorts literally every single growth idea into one of 4 strategies. And it does this by asking 2 incredibly simple questions. Is the product new, and is the market new? Think of it like a grid. You've got market penetration. That's Coca-Cola selling more of its existing soda to current buyers. Super low risk. Then there's market development, which is like Netflix taking its exact same streaming service and rolling it out to brand new countries. Then you have product development. Think Apple creating the Apple Watch, but selling it to their existing iPhone customers. And finally, the big one, diversification. A great example is Amazon launching AWS for enterprise IT. That was a brand new product for a brand new market, completely, totally distinct from their retail bookstore roots. Notice the stark contrast here, right? Staying in familiar territory relies on 2 known quantities. You already know how to make the thing, and you already know the people buying it. Easy. But venturing into the diversification space, that means you have absolutely 0 product experience and 0 customer relationships to lean on. It is hands down the highest risk strategy possible because you're essentially building a new startup inside an existing company, crossing your fingers and hoping you can figure out both sides of the equation at the exact same time. Let's move on to section 2, the adjacency discount secret. Now, most business articles stop at that initial concept, which, let's be honest, is kind of operationally useless on its own. To make it a really lethal diagnostic tool, we have to look at the Ansoff risk ladder. This pairs each of those 4 areas with its most likely failure mode. It shows you exactly what goes wrong as you climb from safe bets up to the high-wire axe. In market penetration, the failure mode is just saturation. You simply run out of room to grow. In product development, the risk is building the totally wrong thing for a customer you thought you understood. In market development, the danger is misreading what the new market actually needs. And in diversification, the trap is spreading yourself way too thin across 2 completely unknown variables. But here is the secret sauce, the missing piece of the puzzle. It's called the adjacency discount. This is the concept that allows a massive, scary bet to behave like a lower, safer rung on the risk ladder. Think about it. Why did Amazon AWS succeed even though it was the riskiest possible move? Well, because they reused their own massive internal data center muscle. They dragged a powerful existing advantage, a real moat, into the unknown. When your new project can reuse a brand, a software platform, or a distribution channel, you get a discount on that risk. It's not a cold start anymore. Okay, section 3, deconstructing Nvidia's big bets. To really see this lie detector for risk in action, let's break down a massive real-world scenario. Nvidia's June 2026 Computex keynote. What the press eagerly reported is just a series of separate, shiny product announcements, this matrix reveals as a highly calculated, deliberate portfolio distribution. Nvidia is perfectly balancing the incredibly safe cash engine of selling Vera Rubin GPUs to their existing hyperscalers, the massive cloud providers like Amazon and Google, against their incredibly risky frontier bets. They are literally funding their future leaps with a rock-solid foundation of safe market penetration. Let's zoom in on one of those frontier bets, RTX Spark, which is a super chip for mainstream Windows PCs. Now, at first glance, this might seem like safe product development, right? Because Nvidia already makes chips. Actually, scratch that. It's totally a highest-risk diversification bet. The general Windows PC owner is a completely new buyer for them, and the ARM plus Blackwell architecture is a brand new product category. But Nvidia isn't just gambling here. This bet is disguised by a massive adjacency discount. They're reusing their legendary CUDA software ecosystem and their really deep relationships with original equipment manufacturers to make this move defensible. They are stepping into the unknown for sure, but they're doing it wearing heavy armor. Let's get practical. Section 4, mapping your own portfolio. So how do we actually translate this 1957 theory into a fast-paced tool for your own company? You don't just want to evaluate Nvidia, you want to map your own strategy. This 6-step playbook is exactly how you do it. First, define if you're analyzing a single business unit or the whole company. Second, list only the real budget-backed initiatives. Don't map your hopes and dreams, map where the actual money's going. Third, run them through the 2-question test. New market, new product. Fourth, apply your adjacency discount. Ask yourself, what existing moat travels with this bet? Fifth, map the entire portfolio to see the big picture. And finally, read the risk imbalance. If all your capital is tied up in risky diversification, but your core business is failing, yeah, you've got a massive strategic red flag.
Finally, Section 5, Common Matrix Mistakes.
Now, before you run off to map your initiatives and challenge your leadership team, we absolutely need to cover the traps where smart strategists usually get this completely wrong. The biggest mistake? Mapping a single project in isolation instead of looking at the whole portfolio. The real insight here is about overall capital distribution, not just one launch. Another huge error is totally ignoring the adjacency discount, which makes every bold move look equally crazy. Also, watch out for teams calling everything product development just because it feels safer. Remember, a new buyer segment is market development, even if it's inside the same parent company. And lastly, please don't use this framework for things it wasn't built for, like tweaking operational pricing or doing macro environment scans. It's a compass for growth risk, not a Swiss Army knife for daily operations. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to really challenge your next strategy meeting. This whole framework names the risk, but it does not tell you to avoid it. Taking those high-risk bets can be absolutely crucial for your company's long-term survival. But the million-dollar question you have to ask is this: is your core cash engine actually strong enough and protected enough to survive if that bold high-risk bet completely crashes and burns? Think about that as you look at your own roadmap. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the strategy behind the spend.